I'm from SISU Mouthguards. I am in customer service, and I'm here today to walk you through a fitting of the SISU Mouthguard. Over here we have Sierra, who's facilitated this.
I'll be helping out.
She's going to be helping out. She is the mastermind behind this great idea. We've created a series here to help with some of the frequently asked questions that we have. People fitting their SISU guards have a lot of them, and rightfully so. So today I'm going to address some of the questions, and I'm going to take you through a fitting of the SISU Mouthguard. So let's get started. I've got my arrow guard in tangerine orange. I am going to put it in the, well, let's start out with what we need for fitting. I've got a bowl, used glass, and that is very important. It's very hot water, and you want to reduce the chances of having the mouth guard stick to the plastic of a bowl. So you want to keep it with glass. You need a fork. You need a mirror. And for today's purposes, I'm going to use the camera as and the screen as a mirror. Of course, you want to make sure that your hands are clean. You can wash them, or you can use some disinfectant. Also, I want to let you know that you should probably wash your mouth guard with soap and water before you fit it. These have been washed already. So let's get started. I'm going to take some very hot water. The optimal temperature is 140 degrees to 150. You don't want to get it any hotter than 155 degrees. You definitely don't want to boil the water. This is ruined if you put it in hot boiling water, like I did the first time I ever fitted a SISU guard with my daughter many years ago. So you take this hot water. I am not actually measuring the temperature. I just know that this was boiling about 8 minutes ago or so. And now, I think you can tell, you may be able to see the steam. It's hot. So you take the fork, and actually, I want to show you this. I'm just going to put that right in there. Try to put this down a little bit. So I take, this is what I've done, and I've fitted hundreds of guards. I like to make sure that my fork is underneath my guard when I pour the hot water on it. I think it's easier to get it up off of the bottom that way. It will become malleable almost immediately. You can see right here that it's becoming soft. Okay, you don't want it so soft that it's not going to be touchable. You don't want the sides to touch to each other, because if the guard folds over itself, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get it unattached. So the idea here, I'm going to let this cool off. I'm going to go through a fitting, and I'm just going to talk it through, and then I'm going to demonstrate how to do it. So as I do this, the guards will stay malleable for about 20, 30 seconds, maybe even a minute. But after you've had it out of the hot water for a minute, go ahead and put it back in the hot water, because after a certain point, it's not going to be real flexible. So you take the guard, and you'll notice you'll see solid bars, and you'll see perforations. The one in front, let me see here, there we go, is where you want to make sure your front teeth go. Okay, so these solid areas, right? Sorry about that, this is my first time being on live chat. That is where you want to put your front teeth, in that solid bar area, not the perforations. Okay, and the sides, you want to get your teeth on the solid bars as well, but it's okay if you get them on the inside of the perforations too. So I'm going to take the guard, I'm going to put my hands on the sides, and I'm going to stick it in my mouth. I'm going to hold it with my tongue and get it right where I need it, right where my front teeth are on the solid bar. I'm going to hold it, gently bite it, and start flipping it up. I don't want to stretch it in any way. If you stretch the holes, the perforations, you may mess with the integrity of the guard and its ability to protect your teeth. Okay, so once I do that, I'm going to set it in there. I'm going to get it in the right position, but the way that you actually mold the guard is by closing your mouth and using suction. Taking the air out of your mouth and getting that guard to fill in the nooks and crannies of your teeth. So I liken it to removing the air from a bag. Like say you have a sandwich in a bag and you take the air out of it, the bag takes the shape of the sandwich, the guard takes the shape of your mouth as you take the air out of your mouth. Okay, so here we go. I've had it in the hot water. You can see it's malleable again. So I'm going to go ahead and fit it. Sierra, how's it going? All right, so here we go. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I forgot to mention, have a Kleenex nearby or a paper towel. So you can see, got the guard in. It's going back pretty far. Well, I got a little wrinkle there, and that's okay. I like the general fit. It's covering all the way up, as you can see. Higher front protected. The roots of your teeth are as vulnerable as the exposed part, and so you want to protect that. Because if your roots get damaged, the rest of the tooth is going to be damaged as well. So I'm using suction. I don't want to talk immediately. I didn't talk immediately because sometimes that can mess with molding of the guard. Now, as you can tell, I speak with a bit of a lisp. So I'm using more suction to get just a bit of a more snug mold. A little bit of a lisp, but that's okay. Can I remove the, this is the good test. If you can remove the guard with your tongue, then it's not snug enough. I can't remove the guard with my tongue. I actually need to snap it out. And actually, that's a pretty good mold. You can see here a little bit of a wrinkle. That's fine. It's comfortable. If you don't like that, it's one little part, but you like the front and the rest of the mold, you can stick this little tiny part back in the hot water. It'll soften up. You can put it back in your mouth and you can smooth that wrinkle out. Okay. I don't see any questions yet. Okay. If you have questions, please let me know. So as you can see, I've gotten that a little soft, gotten that wrinkle out. Smoothing it with my finger, using a little suction. If I needed to yell on the field really loudly, actually, I think I could do it. Not in any danger of coming out. It's a good fit. Takes practice. I will admit that, but the idea behind it is to do it, place it in your mouth, gently hold it with your tongue and teeth. You don't want to bite through it, but you want to hold it while you flip it up. You you close your mouth, and then you can also use your finger. A real point right there. I have a bit of a point, but for my purposes, it's fine. If I wanted to, I could take that tiny little point and put it in some hot water and smooth it out. Okay, now what do we do? Let me address some of the issues that people have. If your guard is too tight, you're going to feel it probably after you wear it for a while. Sometimes the first mold is pretty good. You like the way it fits, but you take it off, and the next time you wear it, a day or two later, it's a little painful. If your SISU Guard is painful, then it is not correctly fitted. Sometimes they do shrink a little bit, in which case you just want to take it out, put it in some hot water, let it loosen up a little bit. You might even not even let it go flat. You might just put it in the hot water to soften it up. Put it back in. Use a little less suction next time. The great thing about it is that you can remold it. Excuse me. You can remold it, and so you get to experiment. And I see that we have a question, so I would love to answer it. I don't see it right here, so maybe you can help me.
My son really likes his SISU and has worn them for 3 years.
Awesome.
Need him help on how to mold over braces.
Oh, great question. Molding over braces is something that you really want to be careful with. And I think one of the best features is that because you have braces, your teeth are shifting. Once his teeth shift just a little bit, he can remold the guard to the new shape of his mouth. But to get the mold to begin with, we recommend using dental wax. This is a barrier that you put over the brackets, and it prevents the guard itself from sticking and hardening to the braces. Some people have actually used aluminum foil, but I like dental wax. I think that would probably be better. We recommend that you take it to your orthodontist for fitting. If that isn't available, dental wax is available at any number of drugstores, and you want to make sure that those guards, the brackets are covered so that the guard doesn't stick. Once the guard is molded, you don't need to use those. You actually need to remold the guard after his teeth shift. Do I have any other questions?
And then I will include that link to the info page
Okay.
on the chat.
Okay, that link will be included on the info page for the chat. Let me see. That was a good question. Okay, so we addressed too tight. How about too loose? If the guard is in your mouth, you can flip it out like that with your tongue. Excuse me, it's definitely too loose. You want it to be snug enough to stay in. Part of the appeal of SISU Guards is that it stays snapped in, and a lot of kids love to chew on their guards. They just do. It's one of these kind of nervous habits, especially with the other kind of guard that's a little bit chewy. It feels really good to them. SISU ruined as well if you like to gnaw on it, but the idea behind keeping it snapped to your top teeth is that it's not available to chew. It just isn't. It's not going to come loose. It makes chewing on it even more difficult. It stays in the mouth. You don't take it in and out between plays. It's comfortable. Sometimes people forget they're even wearing it, and they go home and take a shower with their guard in and realize that they forgot it. We have a question.
I have the SISU Max and have exactly the issue that you described before. It fits too tight. I've tried to remold it 5 or 6 times, trying to make it more loose every time.
Mm-hmm. So when you remold it, and you've done it 5 or 6 times, And is it feeling good when you actually have it on and then the next day it tightens? Even looser fit. It's snug and it's shrinking a little bit. So when you mold it next time, make it loose and see how that works. And then it should maybe tighten up to be just the right fit. It's really sometimes a fine line between getting it too tight and too loose, but there's a sweet spot in there.
To get it to not make my teeth hurt after a training session, I have to fit it so loose that it almost falls out. My theory is that the extra thick Mouthguard is too thick.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, the Mouthguard is great because it protects so well, and that's why people like it. I've not really heard that with the Max, that it's too thick.
So it shrinks too much.
Shrinks too much. Oh, okay. That's an interesting perspective. I've not heard that, but I'll keep that in mind. So if it molds and it's way too tight, maybe we should exchange it and see if maybe there's something with that guard in particular, because that's not a problem that comes up a lot. So we can talk about it later. If you want to talk about exchanging the guard, it could be that it's defective. I wouldn't say that it is or isn't, but it doesn't sound right. So let's investigate that a little bit more later.
Another thing
okay.
That's coming. And we can also include Terry's email in the chat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can give you my email address now. It's just customer service at SISU Guard. If you have any questions, go ahead and write to customer service at SISU Guard, SISUGUARD.com. Also, we have a live chat. It's available 9 to 5 roughly on weekdays. You can, when we're not at live chat, you can leave a message as well, and I will receive that. You can ask any sorts of questions. Our phone number is 800-444-0570. If you have questions during regular business hours Eastern Standard Time, someone will answer and be able to help you out. Let's see here. Let's go to a couple of other issues. I think one of the issues that a lot of people talk about is they have difficulty forming it, and I think they try to form it with their mouth open. And I've found that the best thing to do is to close your mouth, get it in the right position, close your mouth, and then do the rest of the forming by using your fingers and using suction. If you're trying to fit it with your mouth open and you push up, you're never really going to get it right until you actually close your mouth and use the suction to form it properly. Do you have any other questions?
Yes.
Okay,
the
good.
edge of the guard is only cut by a machine. When you get hit with a punch on the lips, which tends to happen in martial arts, it cuts your lips. It's too sharp.
Well, there's one thing that you can do with that, and that is to put a little layer of wax above your guard, so it gives a little bit of a bumper. I know that some people in martial arts have done that. They put it in and they, right here, it is a little sharp, but if you put a little bit of wax up in there, usually that takes care of that problem right away. Excuse me. Do we have any others? Okay. I want to address, I guess this is a good time too to address folds. Sometimes when people mold their guards, they get little ridges, especially in the front here. I like to start out molding the guard from the front to the back so that you don't get that ridge. It's easier to dissipate it through the back. As you can see with my guard, I have little, the way it goes in the back, and I think that's just because of the way my teeth are. It's fine. Most sports injuries occur in the 4 front teeth. I've never really heard of anybody getting their molars hurt during a a sporting confrontation. I'm sure it may happen here or there, but if you've got the protection right here, you're good to go. Great thing about SISU is that you can remold it, as you know. I think you can remold it about 15 to 20 times. If you notice that your guard has been remolded a few times and it doesn't seem to be working, sometimes that happens. Give us a call. We'll exchange the guards. Do we have any other questions? No. Okay, can you think of any too tight? Remove the guards with your tongue. I guess this warrants going over again. One of my little things that I see is that one of college football team uses our SISU mouth guards. And I know within a lot of sports, it's kind of old school thinking about removing your guard in between plays. SISU is in between plays. It stays in, as you know, because it's very comfortable. When you take it out, you tend to not, like for example, the football players, they tend to be able to have it so loose that they can spit it out and put it in their helmets or whatever they do. This drives me crazy. First of all, you get germs on the guard, and then they go right back into your mouth. Number one, and number two, if your guard is so loose that you're able to remove it with your tongue, it's not snug enough. That's another issue. I think it's still protecting, but then again, it might fly out of your mouth if it's not in there securely. The other thing I wanted to say is that people who tend to pull the guard in and out tend to like to chew on it as well. And you can chew on SISU, but it's really not going to be good for it, just like any guard. The foam guard or EVA guard, but still you don't want to chew on it. Stick it in your mouth, keep it in there, get used to it. It's a little different, but it's very comfortable. Learn how to speak with it in your mouth, and soon enough you'll forget that you're even wearing it.
And what about if the material already binds to itself? How do you pry it apart?
Oh, that's a really good question. Sometimes the guard will get too hot. Sometimes the water is a little bit too hot, and the guard will stick to itself. All is not ruined if this happens. What you need to do is you need to keep it in the hot water, and you need to take 2 forks, and you need to sort of tease it apart very slowly. Takes patience. It probably will take up to 10 minutes, but it can be done. So it's not ruined if it sticks together. It hasn't completely balled up. If that happens, then you're probably going to need a new guard. Some people have bridges, and this is the same thing with braces. If you've got orthodontia inside of your mouth, anything that's exposed and is going to be touching the SISU guard, you want to put dental wax on that. That goes for false teeth, dental appliances, Invisalign, and all that. You can use wax or foil barrier.
Now, how long will the SISU guard last?
It's a great question. SISU guards are meant to last the entire season. We recommend replacing them after each season. Depends on how often you wear it particularly, but after the longest period I would ever want to see anyone wear one, older than a year, you should definitely replace it. The warranty is good for 1 year. You can tell if your guard gets grungy, it's time to replace it. It may still be protecting your teeth, but it might be really uncomfortable and smelly. Let's see here. Do you have any other questions that we can think of?
So, what if I have a really small mouth? Can I trim the edges?
That's a great question. So some people have very small mouths, and they want to know if the guard can be trimmed? And that's an excellent question, and the answer is no. You should never trim SISU mouth guards. And the reason being is, I'm going to hold this up here. The SISU Guard has these little rigid areas here, and these are called crumple zones. Pen. So these crumple zones are very important to the protection of the guard, or the way the guard protects your teeth. You don't want to cut them in any way. As far as the back goes, no, you really don't want to cut that either. If the guard is, the thing about SISU is that it's really small profile, and it does fit most adult mouths, even small adult mouths. So definitely don't trim it. Not a good idea.
So I think we have time for about one more question.
Okay, we've got time for one more question.
So let's say someone wants to get a SISU on the top and bottom. What would you recommend for that?
Okay, the question is can you wear SISU on the top and bottom? And there are no on your lower teeth as well as your upper teeth. SISU protects the teeth that it's covering. So if you are worried about your bottom teeth, then you'll definitely need to get a second mouth guard. You can wear a bottom mouth guard in SISU pretty comfortably, and it's absolutely totally recommended if you need protection on your lower teeth as well as your upper teeth.
Perfect.
Oh, I know there are more questions out there. I'm trying to think of one. Let me say this. If your SISU Guard is in water that's too hot and you're trying to boil it, you probably ruined it. So I think it's really important to get out the idea that the water, and the instructions are really important when it comes to SISU. Reading them first is paramount. I would say that I know, because when I think 5 or 6 years ago when my daughter had, there really weren't directions that came with it. There was a video, but of course I didn't watch it, and we ruined the guard completely. And so I know how that goes. It's easy just to think that you want to, form it like the old boil and bite guard, but it's different technology. It's fitted differently, and it's a little more sophisticated than boil and bite, but the way that it protects is totally worth it. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get it, you're going to be good, and you'll love the guard. Okay, so we're going to sign off now. Thank you very much for watching this. Again, if you have questions, you can always call us during regular business hours. The number is 800-444-0570. We have customer service at SISU Guard. That's our email address, customerservice@sisuguard.com. We can answer questions also on our live chat during business hours Eastern Time, and if you get on our website and you want to leave us a question, you can do it that way as well. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to add one more thing. If you guys are looking for more of these Q&A sessions, I would check back at our fitting page, which I will link in the chat box. So look in the chat box for the link to our fitting page for future demos like this, okay? Have a great day. Bye, guys.
Thank you.